Hey, welcome to the Brisbane Small Business Show. I'm Kevin Gammy. Today, I'm really excited to have with me Mariam from Australian Arabic Services, which is a really unique and niche organisation. How are you, Mariam?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing really, really well. So, really interesting when you called me up the other day and said, Kevin, I just want to know, what do I do? How can I do this? I thought, hey, I'm sure if you're sitting there saying that, other people are too. So let's do a show about it.
Great. I'm ready.
Absolutely. Now, I want to find out a little bit more about your business, because when I go to your website, it talks about visitors coming to Australia and all that sort of stuff, and you helping them out around here and everything else. And here is one of the big challenges that we've had with COVID. So many people have had to change your business model. I'm sure you have too. So tell me a little bit more about some of the stuff that you do.
Okay. We work under Australian Arabic Visitor Service or Arabic Visitor Service. My name now is Middle East Connect and Cultural Advisors, and that's exactly sort of what we do. We started with, and we're still doing it from time to time, except this COVID has delayed us, is receive tourists and, make packages for them of where they want to go, north, south, east, west, and we organize it for them. But at the moment, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so which is really interesting. But at the moment, as you were saying, obviously there's not a lot of that happening right now. However, with the fact that, Australia and China having, a little stoush at the moment, and we're looking elsewhere for trading partners, I'm sure there's opportunities for people to deal with businesses in the Middle East who could then be bringing products to Australia and that sort of stuff that would be competitive with Chinese products, yeah?
There is a lot of Middle East business going on now. People are sort of almost moved from one direction to the other, and now it is the Middle East, just to keep safe. So
absolutely.
Yes.
And that in itself is going to provide you with some awesome opportunities. As you're saying, you do some cultural services and help
Yes.
people understand the culture of the Middle East and how to do business with people there, what is an accepted business practice and the like.
Mm. With the Middle East, it used to be a face-to-face is the most important, so that they establish trust. But right now, they even moved much faster than we have in the webinars and the Zooms, and they're really trying to establish business with Australia. So it is an extremely cultural awareness with the Middle East. Yes, some of them speak English. They've been educated overseas, Harvard and Queensland University and so on. But their preferred language is still the Arabic. They do feel respected when you talk to them, either a few words just to make them trust you in Arabic. So we give cultural education on how to conduct your business and what is accepted and what is not accepted. We used to do it face to face, but right now we are online as well.
Little bit challenged as well. So Let's talk a little bit about how you can best make use of Brisbane Small Business. Obviously, within the Facebook group, we don't like people just coming in saying, buy my stuff. We like people to come in and give some quick tips and help people out, and then let people come to you. So that's the very first point. So what we'll do is we'll actually share the screen. And we'll start with your website, and then we'll move across to the community, to your listing, and what you can do within Business Small Business. Okay.
Yep.
Let's add this up to screen. We'll lose us. We're not that important. So here's your website, and it talks about things. Now, you, like everyone else find it very a little bit more challenging. Unless you're a web designer, you find it a little more challenging to go, hey, I need this changed in my website, and just go and change it. And as you said, this site's a little bit old, a little bit outdated, and everything else.
Yes.
So let's not worry about that, and let's put that aside for the moment, because it's not focusing on what you're currently doing. Here's
no, not really.
Yeah, so here's the beauty of social media. Social media moves fast, and I'm sure that you do blog from time to time. You write blogs, you maybe even you do events, and if you're not doing events already, I think it's a great opportunity for you to do that, to introduce yourself and your services to people in a really non-threatening way, and there's an opportunity to do that too. So at the moment, we've got your contact details in. We've got very basic details correct there.
Yes.
We've got Middle East Connect and Culture Advisors. Great. So what we need is we will need you to put in a short description about yourself and some of the things that you're doing. And I would focus on what the current situation is, not your historic one. Okay. So don't just drag stuff off your website and put that down. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
To use, you've only got 170 characters here. So we're talking about, 25 words or thereabouts is what we're talking about there. We'll also need a location. Now you've got that you're at Clayfield. So Clayfield will be enough here. We'll add that in. Your website, we will go and grab that and put that in.
Kevin, I would like to just say that my website is going to be updated because, as you said, it's a bit out of date.
Absolutely, and that's not a problem at all. I'll also get you. Do you have a Facebook page for?
Not for business. I use LinkedIn.
And use LinkedIn a lot. Great. So basically here you can actually put in a link to your LinkedIn page that you've got for the business. Okay.
All right.
And everything. Yep. So you can just put in whatever you've got there. Okay. And don't be scared to do that. Also, if you do have a little video that talks a little bit more about you, you can put in your YouTube link or a YouTube channel. You can put that in. So then we can save and continue. For some reason, it doesn't want us to do that. I think because we've already saved it. That's because we've got the, you've got the 2 email addresses. What's your other email address so that we can just put that in?
It's info
at
arabicvisitorservices.com.au.
Right. So just come down, we'll save that. There we go. Now I'm going to encourage you to put a profile photo. So just use your LinkedIn photo here.
Sure.
Okay. Yep. And then when it comes into your listing details, I put in advocacy, and here's somewhere negotiation. And here's where we don't have interpretation or cultural training.
Yeah, yes, interpreting and translating.
Straight after this, I'll add those in. Don't worry about that right now because we need to keep this flowing fairly well. I'll add those in after so that we can do that. And if anyone comes up with a category and they're going, I'd like to get in the directory, but my category's not there, just reach out to me. We can add in categories at the drop of a hat, and it's no problem at all. And I'm always
thank you. Thank you. Brisbane small business is fantastic. Really, I've got so much help in the little time I have joined that, thank you, Kevin, for doing this.
So what year did the business start?
Sorry?
What year did the business start? Did you start this business?
Oh, what year? I've started this business, registered it at the end of 2006.
2006. So it's been going for quite a long time, which is a great history.
It's been going.
And do you have a saying?
Do I have a what?
Is there a business motto or saying that you have in the business?
No, we just, mine is just the simple, how to break the barrier, cultural and cultural barrier.
Great. So breaking down cultural barriers, we'll do that.
Yeah.
That'll get us at least started on that section. And so what we're trying to do is just give you enough of a profile at the moment so when people go there, they can find out a little bit more about you, okay?
Thank you.
The next thing you're going to need to do is to put a little bit down about your business and making sure that it gets across the business who you are today. As you said, it's more about breaking down those cultural barriers, helping people understand how to do business with the Middle East, interpretation and translation services for if they're looking at providing documentations. I'd be putting that sort of information in here, okay?
Sure.
And then with the service areas, with the fact that you've got a showcase listing, you can have up to 10 different locations. We'll start with just Brisbane City.
Yes.
And it's really important to use the maps when you're doing these because that will help populate the area most appropriately. So if we have Brisbane City, we can do Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast. We'll add that in. Then Gold Coast. Because all these places are just a phone call away, so it's not very hard to do that. I'll let you go through and put more locations in, and then we can come back to our dashboard. Okay. So at the moment, the thing you've still got to do is upload your profile from LinkedIn and also put in your some details about the business. Now, the reason that this is important, it is all about building trust, and it's just like having meetings. It's just like meetings appropriately in, as you said, people like face-to-face. They like to see a face. They like to see who you are, and it's really important to do that. You can also see on this dashboard now that you've got opportunities for news and information. You've got SoundClouds, you've got videos, and also events. They're the main things that people are going to be using in this particular situation, okay? The reason that they're important, your news and information is where you would write a blog. So I'm going to encourage you to write just a couple of short blogs that talk about the cultural difference between the Middle East and Australia and how business is done differently, right?
Absolutely.
Now, the whole purpose of our website here is to encourage people to help solve people's problems so that they can reach out and get some information. So I'm also going to encourage you to have some downloads so that as people click on the downloads, you can capture their information so that you can start a professional conversation with them. Okay?
That's fantastic.
So just like when you're sharing cool information on LinkedIn, the most successful way to do that is not just to push information at people, but let them come to you by having downloads that they want to reach out and get that information from. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So use the site here in conjunction with our Facebook group. I don't know that I would imagine that there's not very many Queensland websites that are getting 3,500, 4,000 visitors a day, but our Facebook group does. Okay. So here's where we're encouraging members of the directory. And if we just go into the regular directory, here's where we're encouraging members of the directory to then share information on the directory, but then copy the URL and then share it across into our Facebook community.
All right.
Okay. So don't just use it as a static listing and it's just sitting there and nothing happens. Look, if people are looking for any kind of business in Brisbane, we rank really, really well as a whole. But individually, it's almost impossible for us to rank awesomely on every single classification that we have there. We are working on that, and I've put a team in place to help me with that. However, the audience that will be driven there is going to be challenged to compete with the audience that Facebook is sending to our community already. So, so let's start thinking about, let's say you wrote a blog about the differences in culture and doing business with the Middle East to what it's like here in Australia. And with that, let's say you had a download so that here's my 5 quick tips in a nutshell, download this as your cheat sheet. Okay, so that when people read your blog, they can go, I've got to remember that. And they had a download so that they can print off a nice, easy picture of this is how I should act, right? Okay. So then all of a sudden, if you're sharing that across into our community, and you do so appropriately, but it's fairly easy to do, that particular article you could relate to almost any day of the week. It's Action Monday. And the way I would introduce that article on a Monday would be, hey, it's Action Monday. And if you're looking to do business with the Middle East, you really need to observe a few cultural norms that will help your business fly over there instead of killing it. Here's a link to a article I wrote recently about that, right? So there's Monday. Let's take action and do that. Tips Tuesday. Hey, doing business in the Middle East is a little bit different from doing business here in Australia. Here's my 5 quick tips of some of the norms that you must always observe, right? Or it's Web Wednesday. Of course, doing business in the Middle East, the way I would introduce it, of course, doing business in the Middle East is different from Australia. And here's some observations that I've shared so that you can download some quick tips on that. Okay. And then once again, you share the link. So you share the link of the URL of your list, of your, not your listing, but your blog from the directory site across, so that each time people have a cool article to read and a discussion point that they can start creating, you can start creating some discussion around. And you do that, occasionally. With your showcase listing, you get 12 blogs that you can have, you get 12 videos that you can share, and you get 12 podcasts. The other beauty of the showcase listing is that you also get events. Now, a lot of people who might be thinking and exploring doing business with the Middle East don't even know where to start. And so if you had an event or a webinar that you started, or it could be a webinar, or it could be a live workshop these days, because people are allowed to, still social distance, but in a boardroom, you could still put six to 8 people into a reasonable sized boardroom. And then you can have a meeting about it where you can talk about, here's the 5 key elements of, before you even think about doing business in the Middle East, be prepared for these 5 things, or something like that. Every weekend, we share across all of the events that are in the members' directories across into the community of Brisbane Small Business. And even though we don't get quite as many people come into the group on the weekends, we're still getting around, we're still getting over 2,500. Quite often we're still getting about the 3,000 plus members coming in on the weekends to see what's there. Okay. So it's a great way to be active in the community without just shouting, buy my stuff, but by helping provide quality education around what you do, which will lead people to your business. Does that make sense?
Great tips. Thank you very much. Yes.
So
I just didn't know how to do it online. That was my problem.
And that's okay. So it's really important. doing creating, if you create a blog, it really is as simple as if you are loading up your blog onto a WordPress website. You just put in the title, you put in what area it fields in. Business services would be where your things are going to fit most. You can actually then put a start date if you want it to load up only after a particular date. I generally don't worry about that.
No.
Any tags. So I would put in business, Middle East business. I would put in small business Brisbane, and then anything else that this particular cultural exchange and things like that. I would think of different words that people might use in searches. Okay. And then you just paste your article in here. And make sure that you do include an image, right? So with the fact that we're looking at the Middle East and doing business there, I would get some images of people doing business in the Middle East and how they do business, right? So that draws the eye and it captures the attention.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't have to worry about these meta tags. It's completely optional. If you don't put information in, it will automatically populate for you. And that's fine. Then you just save your changes, and your blog will be loaded up onto the directory. Okay. So it really is that simple. So, and then it's there as an ongoing evergreen piece of content so that you can share it across multiple times, remembering that even though we have lots of people coming in all the time, the people that you're targeting may not be there that time, but then you might share it again a couple of weeks later and they might be there then. If you've got 12 different pieces of content, you might share a couple of pieces in every week and then rotate them around. And you could probably keep doing that for 6 months. And people, even though you may have reused the content 3 or 4 times, it's probably rare that anyone would actually know that, because unless they've read it, and even if they have, they'll go, this sounds really familiar. I know I've been almost at the end of an article for the second time and gone, I remember I read this before.
I know the feeling.
And I've got to tell you, the second time I read it, I'm far more likely to reach out to that person because I've gone, hey, if I needed this twice, obviously this person's got some information that I really need. So, so don't think you can only use information once. You can use it time and time again. And as I said, use it in different ways to get people thinking about it differently. Okay. So, take action, or here's a tip, or here's some cool information about blah. Or if you're thinking about doing business in the Middle East, here's some hot pointers. Or, create an event about, if you're interested in finding out what to do and how to get set up before you make the mistakes and kill your business before it even starts, here's a event, either a webinar or a live event about that. And then we share that across on weekends. So there's an amazing array of ways that you can use a directory. And it is about using it. The most important thing, it's about using it in such a way that you're not just saying every time you share something across, buy my stuff, here's the specials.
Understand. No. Yeah.
And so, and that's why I thought it'd be a good opportunity, with your business being so completely unique. If you can use this to help people in Brisbane, everyone can. And that's the beauty of it. So, I want to thank you for reaching out. Do you have any more questions?
And no, I just want to say that, I do this cultural awareness, but I'm also still in the tourism business. So as soon as students or people start coming back normally to the Gold Coast, I try to also redirect them to the Sunshine Coast or the Barrier Reef. So if there is anyone there in the tourism business who would like to reach out, please do, and we'll see what we can do together when it eventually opens up.
Absolutely. And I know that there are a couple of tourist operators. I'll put you in touch with one that is a member of the group that I have off the top of my head, but we'll think about some others. that's the other thing about being a directory member. Like when people are directory members, when they reach out and they ask me for information, you're far more at the top of my mind. And at that point in time, then I'm more likely to be starting, sending people your way. Because, if you're supporting the community and you're supporting me, then obviously it gives me the ability to help a lot more than if I'm, scrambling for work the whole time as well. I'm like everybody else. Brisbane Small Business is a small business. And, it really is about how we can all get in and support each other.
Absolutely.
The real thing about the directory and making it easier to do business is, I've seen streams where people have asked for, and there was a particular case of a lawyer the other day, and then the company had 5 of their employees recommend that business. Now, you can't, as much as we love asking people for recommendations, we actually audit the testimonials that come onto or the reviews that come onto Brisbane Small Business. And so you can trust that far more than you can even trust a recommendation within the community. And you're doing so without getting spammed by a whole lot of people when you ask a question. There won't be 50 lawyers to choose from, or 50 lawyers that you have to be sorting through and all that sort of stuff. You can go into the directory, you can find the lawyers that are there, and even if there's 50 of them, you can start reading some of the reviews and sort out who are the people that you'd really like to reach out to straight away. So it's a really good opportunity to make it easier to do business, to save time, and to help you get what you're wanting to get faster, as well as we said, still reaching out and sharing cool content with the 10,000 members that we have in the community there already.
Yeah, it's a great service. Thank you, Kevin. It's really, it's really fantastic to have that, website business to sync with us on what.
And I really appreciate the support, and thanks for reaching out. As when you had questions about it, thanks for reaching out, because as you can see, I take action straight away when people reach out and ask questions. And look, we are here to help, and that's our goal, is to help you promote your business, to help you help more of our members that could be looking for a service similar to yours. So thanks very much for coming on board today.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thanks a lot, Mariam. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay. Talk to you. Bye-bye.